There's a spirit at Bryan Health, a passion that says we can make it better, stronger, to raise our kids, to build our future, to move forward together. It's time for Bryan Health Radio. Here's Melanie Cole.
Seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, is a type of depression that relates to the change in season. It can begin and end about the same time every year. My guest today is Dr. Dave Miers. He's the Counseling and Program Development Manager for Mental Health Services at Bryan Medical Center, and in addition, he co-chairs the Nebraska State Suicide Prevention Coalition. Welcome to the show, Dr. Miers. What is SAD?
SAD is seasonal affective disorder, and it's a type of depression. We know that depression in general can impact about 10%. Studies show about 10% of the United States population at any given time, and that's all types of depression. Seasonal affective disorder is one of those types of depression, and as you mentioned, it's the type of depression that can impact an individual. It generally occurs the same time every year, and most often we see it happening generally in the winter. During the winter time, there are a small number of cases that we see where they see seasonal affective disorder that might come up during the summertime. But most often it's those times of year where there's less sunlight in the wintertime, where individuals just start having the signs of depression and have the symptoms.
So are there some causes, melatonin levels or serotonin? Are there things that we can point to that say, yes, puts you a little bit more at risk?
Well, with depression, there's different theories that are that look at depression and what causes depression. If you have depression in your family, generally speaking, then individuals, in that, if you have your children or other individuals in your family, they have a higher percentage chance of possibly having some type of depression themselves. But with seasonal affective disorder, there's different treatments for it, and one of the treatments sometimes that a psychiatrist might or physician may order would be light therapy, and it's the effects of it's meant to mimic the effects of sunlight to help rebalance the chemicals in an individual to feel better. So there's different theories out there as far as the causes of depression, but we know that seasonal affective disorder is treatable, and we can talk about some of the treatments.
Well, we certainly will. Just tell us, are men or women more susceptible, and does it matter where you live? If you're further from the equator, or if you live in North Dakota or something, are you more susceptible to this?
It's more common. We see it more often in women than in men as far as seasonal affective disorder, and it's more common in the states or parts of the world where there's the least amount of sunlight. So, where there's less sunlight, then the percentage or the number of cases of seasonal affective disorder are seen to be higher.
So now let's speak about treatments. What do you tell people they can do if you've determined that they have seasonal affective disorder?
Well, treatment is very similar than if you were being treated for depression itself, not specifically the seasonal affective disorder, such as seeking talk therapy. Oftentimes, talk therapy during that period of time can be very effective. Sometimes antidepressants can be very effective for individuals. So some individuals may just have talk therapy alone. Other individuals may have medication alone if they're working with their provider. Research shows that combining both of those things together at the same time can be more effective as far as quicker results of feeling better. But with seasonal affective disorder, another type of treatment is called light therapy. And what light therapy is it's where working with your provider who can prescribe that. It's where you purchase a light box, and it produces there's special bulbs that they use in this light box that produces light. And oftentimes the provider may prescribe it that you're sometimes put it on just a few feet from you for about 30 minutes a day sometimes. And sometimes this is done early in the morning, and it's done to mimic sunlight. Person keeps their eyes open, but you don't look straight into the light source itself. But the light therapy oftentimes then the goal of it is for it to help to improve the symptoms, and oftentimes with light therapy, individuals see improvement within 3 to 4 weeks. There are some things that individuals can do on their own in addition to other treatments. Monitoring their sleep, making sure they're getting enough sleep, eating healthy, take their medicines as prescribed if they're on medication. Ask their provider, how to manage side effects if they do have any side effects from medication. And continue to monitor and watch their signs and symptoms to make sure that they're improving, and if they're getting worse, keeping that communication open with their provider is very important. And then exercising, pushing yourself to do the activities you like to do. Because oftentimes with depression, you find yourself wanting to isolate and not wanting to do the things that you normally like to do. So by getting out and doing those things and pushing yourself and getting, exhibiting that energy is very important.
So what about some of the other forms? And you mentioned exercise, so important, but then people look to some complementary treatments, yoga or acupuncture, or even any supplements. Are there anything, Dr. Miers, that you recommend that people can try that could help them with their seasonal affective disorder?
Well, it'd be important to keep that communication open with your provider, your treating provider, and ask about what other treatments are available. Oftentimes, individuals find support groups helpful. Support groups meeting with other individuals with depression. Oftentimes, it's looking. Another idea would be looking at a wellness recovery action plan, where you sit down and work with an individual in a group and develop a wellness plan. That when I have these symptoms, these are the things I should do to that help me feel better. And so that when you notice the symptoms, you pull out your plan, and exactly, these are the steps that I need to take. So it's if you find things that do make you happy, that do make you relax, that are helpful, then those are the things to continue, to try in addition to what's being prescribed and as far as your treatment plan.
And Dr. Miers, in just the last few minutes, if somebody suffers from seasonal affective disorder and they know that they suffer from this, is there anything they can do in advance of that change of season to prevent it from possibly happening to them? And then why should they come to Bryan Mental Health Center for their care?
Well, it's important that individuals know what symptoms know their symptoms and know their behaviors, and to monitor themselves. And if they are diagnosed with seasonal affective disorder, they will know that, typically they're going to know what time of year that the symptoms typically, arrive. So it's important to stay connected with your treating provider and to follow that treatment plan. So even though the symptoms may dissipate, over time, and those symptoms happen during that same time every year, it's just important to keep that communication open. Because sometimes when individuals do get treatment, things do get better, and they may not realize some of those symptoms later on. But sometimes for individuals, those symptoms do come back at the same time every year. And so when you do know your symptoms and know your plan, it's important to have that plan in place and to know what steps to take and what things are helpful to you, and to get engaged with that treatment plan and the treatment process right away.
Tell us about some of the mental health services at Bryan Medical Center.
Well, Bryan Medical Center, we have the Bryan Counseling Center, which is our outpatient clinic that has therapists, psychologists, social workers on staff that provide outpatient treatment for individuals. So individuals wanting to see a therapist, they can call in and visit with our nurse who will work with that individual and connect them to one of our providers on an outpatient basis who will provide counseling, develop a treatment plan, and help that individual with the symptoms that they may be experiencing. We also have, if individuals are in a mental health crisis, and our goal is our hope is that individuals realize their symptoms early and possibly go on and take an online screening on our website and identify those symptoms and to to manage those symptoms and get involved in treatment early. But if individuals in a mental health crisis and need help right away, we do have a mental health emergency department that's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at the Bryan West Emergency Department. And staff there are available at all times to help individuals who are in crisis.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It's such great information. You're listening to Bryan Health Radio. And for more information about mental health services at Bryan Health, you can go to bryanhealth.org. That's bryanhealth.org. This is Melanie Cole. Thanks so much for listening.